Welcome to Hearts and History, where stories of love bridge past and present, wrapping you in the gentle embrace of tradition and memory. We journey across cultures, offering soothing tales designed to ease your heart and calm your mind. If you find comfort here, kindly subscribe or share our channel with friends seeking a touch of peace and wonder in their evenings. Let us begin this story together, gently, beneath evening's hush. Tonight's episode, Love Beneath the Olive Trees, invites you to the Aegean coast, where golden sunsets and timeless traditions cradle an ancient romance. We'll explore moods of tenderness and ritual, drifting among olive groves and marble temples. Breathe in the scent of salt, citrus, and blossoming hope. Settle in as we unwind gentle stories of courtship, dreams, and whispered promises exchanged by moonlight. Let this soft retelling soothe your senses and bring sweet rest to your night. Chapter 1. Whispers Among the Olive Branches. As dusk settles along the Aegean shore, ancient olive trees stand guard. Their twisting limbs bask in the fading golden light, casting long, loving shadows over the earth. A warm breeze stirs the leaves, carrying whispers of past and present. In this timeless place, the air hums with the scents of salt and citrus blossom, inviting the heart to slow and listen, to remember where love first took root. The olive groves have watched over these hills for generations. They are both witness and participant in the rituals of village life. Each year, when the harvest begins, whole families gather beneath their branches. Laughter mingles with the rustle of baskets and tools, carried across the cool sea air. The olives themselves, plucked with care, promise nourishment and hope through the seasons ahead. Here, under the gentle protection of the trees, stories are born and dreams quietly blossom. On this particular evening, the scent of flowering thyme drifts alongside the richer aroma of olives crushed underfoot. The village hums with gentle joy as the harvest festival draws near. Lamps are lit, casting warm halos on old stone walls, and children's voices skip through the shadows. At the center of it all stand the olive trees, symbols of peace, devotion, and a silent bridge connecting the ancient with the new. It is under these branches that the next story quietly unfolds. Among the gathered villagers, young Althea moves softly, her hands steady as they cradle olives and laughter in equal measure. Her hair catches the last hues of the setting sun, and her heart beats with dreams she dares not name aloud. Nearby, Nicandros shoulders a woven basket, his eyes often drawn, unbidden, toward Althea's grace. Neither speaks of longing, but their silent exchanges linger in the golden air, gentle threads weaving an unspoken promise between them. Beneath the oldest olive tree in the grove, stories say wishes whispered against its ancient bark find their way to the gods. Tonight, as dusk deepens, Althea pauses here, her fingertips brushing the rough trunk, offering a secret prayer. Nicandros approaches quietly, sensing the delicate space where words might soon grow. Their first meeting unfolds in the hush between heartbeat and sigh, the world softening around them as the leaves above tremble with anticipation and the promise of something new. The harvest festival draws the village into a gentle communion. Mothers and daughters braid wreaths from olive sprigs and wildflowers, weaving hopes for peace and abundance into each shining circle. Men tend fire and music, preparing gifts for gods and family alike. The air is filled with the soft rhythm of mortars and pestles, the sweetness of bread and fruit. Within these rituals, Althea and Nicandros find themselves moved by the grace of tradition and possibility, hearts beating in quiet tandem. Evenings in the village are steeped in both myth and memory. As darkness deepens, elders recount stories of lovers guided by Aphrodite and of olive trees struck by lightning, made sacred by the gods. Althea listens, the old tales painting her dreams with longing and promise. Nicandros, too, hears the wisdom in their words, sensing his own journey reflected in ancient legend. Together, beneath a sky bright with stars, they begin to imagine a story in which their hearts might play a gentle part. In Greek tradition, the olive branch is a gesture of unity, a peace offering gifted with open hands. As the harvest festival reaches its gentle peak, Althea weaves a slender wreath of silver-green leaves. She approaches Nicandros by lamplight, the offering trembling delicately in her palms. Eyes meet in the hush, and he realizes the deepest meaning of her gift. Beyond custom and ritual, her gesture is the beginning of invitation, a quiet first step towards something lasting and true. Nicandros accepts the wreath with reverence, bowing his head in silent gratitude. He remembers stories of heroes and poets, of vows sealed beneath olive trees and promises spoken beside the sea. His voice, low and earnest, thanks Althea not only for her gift, but for her trust. Around them, the festivals. Music drifts softly on the breeze, a chorus of old songs and bright laughter. For a moment time lingers, holding its breath, as new love quietly finds its roots. Later, as the festival wanes, the two wander the quiet groves under a moonlit sky. Shadows linger beneath each branch, and the hush of night invites secrets to be shared. Althea and Nicandros speak softly of their dreams, of family, and of seasons yet to come. With every word, the story of their connection quietly unfolds. Olive leaves catch the silver light, rustling gently above them, as if bearing witness to a promise blossoming in the night's embrace. Throughout the village, candles flicker in windows, creating halos of gold along twisting paths. Elders nod and smile knowingly as Althea and Nicandros walk side by side, two hearts warmed by tradition and hope. The world feels gentle, suspended within the rituals that guide each generation. Under the sacred trees, ancient and eternal, love is celebrated not with grand gestures, but through quiet presence and thoughtfully shared words, each one a note in a tender, enduring song. As the night deepens, the couple lingers at the edge of the grove, where the earth is scented with wild herbs and cool stone. Nicandros gathers courage, recalling the rituals of his ancestors. He breaks fresh bread with Althea, an offering and a symbol. They share the simple meal, laughter mingling with tearful joy. Beneath ancient limbs, this small act echoes the sacred traditions binding families and hearts, whispering that love often grows in gestures as humble as shared bread. In the hush that follows, Althea confides in Nicandros. She speaks of her dreams, her wishes for peace, and the stories her grandmother once shared about the mystical properties of olive trees. Nicandros listens, his own dreams unwinding quietly in her presence. Together, their fears seem quieter, their hopes stronger. As starlight shimmers through the canopy, two souls find comfort in listening, in honoring ancient wisdom while creating new memories beneath the timeless trees. Tradition holds that moonlight in the groves is a blessing from Aphrodite herself. As the festival ebbs, villagers slip away in pairs to offer silent prayers at hidden shrines. Althea and Nicandros follow a winding path to a weathered statue tucked among the roots. Their footsteps are gentle, the world hushed except for the distant song of waves. In the soft glow, their wishes mingle, carried by the breeze to the goddess of love, who listens with a kind and timeless grace. Kneeling before the old shrine, Althea places her olive wreath at the feet of Aphrodite's statue. The leaves glow silver in the moonlight, their fragrance mingling with the salt-sweet air. Nicandros adds his own token, a braid of wild thyme from the fields where he works. Together, they bow their heads, joining centuries of lovers whose hopes and prayers have become part of the land itself. In this quiet moment, their spirits are united by the sacred silence of the grove. As they return to the gathering, the night's magic lingers. Their hands brush, a soft touch filled with promise. Around them, the festival begins to quiet, fires glowing low and voices fading to gentle murmurs. The moon casts long shadows through the branches, painting the earth with shifting patterns. Each step Althea and Nicandros take together is a step further into a story as old as the olive trees themselves. A story rooted in hope, nurtured by tradition, and illuminated by gentle love. Back within the village, families settle around hearths, sharing tales and blessings. The warmth of kinship and custom embraces all who gather. Althea and Nicandros are drawn into these circles welcomed, not as strangers, but as fellow dreamers, as kindred souls walking an ancient path. Laughter bubbles up, and the stories told are stitched together with gentle irony and deep affection, until hearts are quieted and the night folds itself around them like a familiar, gentle quilt. Soon, as the final embers fade, Althea and Nicandros part for the evening. Carrying memories soft as the breeze, each returns to their own spaces, but the promise of reunion lingers, sweet and sure. Outside, the olive trees stand silent and watchful under the guarding sky, their roots deep and intertwined. Within these living symbols lie the blessings of peace, prosperity, and love, a heritage handed down and cherished in every generation that has come to rest beneath their sheltering arms. Solitude deepens as midnight approaches. Althea sits by her window holding an olive leaf between her fingers, her thoughts adrift on moonbeams. Nicandros, somewhere nearby, traces the patterns of starlight on his ceiling, whispering silent thanks for their meeting. The world sleeps, but hope stirs gently within two hearts. The night is rich with possibility, promising that each new day will grow from the oldest roots. Slowly, with care, beneath branches reaching ever upward toward the dawn. Dawn approaches with the soft coo of doves and the gentle swell of sea air. Olive trees stretch in the early light, shadows melting into leaf and earth. Althea greets the morning, her spirit buoyed by dreams of connection and blossoming love. Nicandros steps into the day with hope carried in each stride, the memory of shared words and tender looks fresh as dew. Together, they move through tradition's embrace, guided by the wisdom and warmth of all who came before. In time, the olive groves will witness many stories of loss, laughter, and reunion. But tonight's tale, beginning at the meeting of two shy hearts, lingers like a song remembered on the wind. In Greek culture, the olive tree remains a living symbol blessing lovers, dreamers, and families with roots that reach deep into the earth and branches that yearn toward the sky. May its peace stay with you, wherever your own love story might unfold. As we close tonight's chapter, rest in the gentle rhythm of the Aegean coast and the timeless protection of the olive trees. Let the scent of salt and citrus, the warmth of ancient ritual, and the hope of new beginnings cradle you into sleep. Thank you for joining us beneath these whispering branches, where love and history are never far apart. Until our next story, may peace and tenderness linger in your dreams, soft as olive leaves against the dawn. Good night. Within the heart of the village square, warmth fills the air as families gather beneath lanterns gently swaying in the breeze. The harvest has ended and a festival begins, woven with laughter, music, and the soft shuffling of feet. Tonight, the ancient ritual of sharing bread is about to unfold, an old custom at the very core of courtship, an act meant to unite souls, seal bonds, and offer hope for days yet to come. Althea and Nicandros move quietly among their elders, their hands nearly brushing as they approach the center of the square. Here, an old wooden table is set with round loaves of freshly baked bread, the aroma drifting upward like an invitation to remember times gone by. With each step, the young couple is guided gently by the older women, who smile, their own memories alive beneath the soft glow of twilight. The sharing of bread in this village is more than tradition. It is a language without words, a gentle promise exchanged between hearts. As Althea breaks off a piece of crust for Nicandros, the villagers watch quietly, their eyes reflecting flickers of candlelight. Nicandros receives the offering with both hands, his gaze soft. In this moment, trust is handed from one to the other, carried in the simple exchange of food. Nearby, children perch on stone steps, their whispers hushed as the ritual unfolds. Elders quietly recount stories of lovers from distant times, tales of bread broken atop mountain passes, of feasts held in the shadow of olive trees. The soft clatter of plates blends with the subtle notes of a lyre, drifting through the air. For a few tender minutes, the boundaries between myth, memory, and the present moment begin to blur. In the flickering firelight, Althea lifts her hands, brushing crumbs from her palms as she smiles at Nicandros, the gesture both humble and intimate. Around them, others begin to mirror the act, guided by the wisdom of their elders. The simple act of sharing bread takes on new meaning as it passes from hand to hand, threading the villagers together in a tapestry of trust, hope, and belonging. This village feast marks more than the harvest's end. It's an echo of countless evenings before. Each loaf is baked with olive oil pressed from groves watched over by generations. Elders recall the years of their own youth, when the same ritual wove them into the larger story of the village. Bread is not just sustenance tonight. It is the soul of the celebration, reminding all present of their shared roots. As the bread is broken and passed, gentle laughter rises, the kind that bubbles up with gratitude and the gentle relief of togetherness. Nicandros, encouraged by a quiet nod from his mother, returns Althea's kindness, offering her a slice in return. The young couple shares a shy glance that lingers, a silent acknowledgement of hope flourishing beneath the golden lanterns, entwined like vines across ancient stone walls. Old stories tumble forth, carried on the voices of grandmothers. They tell of the gods who blessed couples that honoured this simple act. Aphrodite, they recall, once wandered the earth in disguise, blessing those who shared their bread with open hearts. Each tale settles gently into the night's air, making each morsel taste a bit sweeter and every gesture shimmer with a hint of mythic magic. With every round of bread, hands meet briefly, touch lingering for just a breath before parting. These moments, however small, become the foundation of deeper bonds. The ritual is not rushed. It unfolds at the patient rhythm of the seasons, teaching the young to savour connection and to find elegance in the ordinary. The village square seems to pulse softly with this unspoken wisdom, filling hearts with quiet joy. Music weaves between the tables, gentle tunes plucked from a lyre, mingling with the low hum of shared stories. The atmosphere remains hushed but vibrant, every smile glowing in firelight. At the edges of the square, olive trees cast long shadows, their branches whispering secrets of ancient lovers. The night feels holy, suspended, caught between the heartbeat of history and the dreams of those gathered beneath the stars. Nearby, a circle forms around a weathered elder whose voice carries like a soft bell. She reminds every listener how the act of sharing bread was once a vow, not just an offering of sustenance, but a signal that two people might one day share all life's burdens, joys, and quiet mornings. As her words fill the air, more loaves are split, each piece signifying hope for unity and enduring love. For Althea and Nicandros, every crumb carries meaning. There is tenderness in the way they break and offer the bread, in the way their laughter mingles only with each other's. Their elders watch, recalling their own younger years, hearts stirring with old flames and gentle gratitude. In the luminous hush, it becomes clear that love here is both new and very, very old, patient, sacred, and ever renewed. Slowly, the meal expands into a gentle feast. Clay bowls filled with olives and honey, figs and soft cheeses placed beside the bread. Yet even as the spread grows abundant, all eyes return now and then to the ritual in the centre. With every glance, the villagers are reminded that the feast's true sweetness is not in its lavish flavours, but in moments of kindness, unity, and the hope that love bears quietly forward. The eldest among them begins a song, a melody carried from hillside villages long faded into memory. Voices join softly, weaving together like threads in a tapestry. Within the refrain are wishes for happiness and endurance, reminders that while bread may grow stale and seasons may pass, the ties kindled in nights like these can linger for lifetimes. Althea and Nicandros listen, hands resting close but never quite touching. As the fire dims, shadows play gently on the faces of young and old. Stories continue in quiet tones. Someone recalls a fabled prince who won his beloved's trust through a single shared loaf beneath an ancient oak. In this way, legend and nightly ritual intermingle, blurring the border between fact and hope. The bread passes from hand to hand, and with each turn, another wish is whispered into the night. A breeze stirs, carrying the perfume of rosemary and warm earth. Lanterns flicker, casting pockets of gold across weathered stone. Nicandros reaches for a final piece of bread, offering it with both hands to Althea. She accepts, their fingers brushing. For just a moment, the world seems to still, the rest of the village fading into a soft, golden hush. In gestures so gentle, love announces itself, quietly and without need for words. Neighbours exchange knowing looks as the ritual nears its end. The bread basket grows lighter, but hearts feel heavy with gratitude. Elders encourage the youngest to taste the final morsels, reminding them that traditions survive only when cherished and passed along. Althea and Nicandros, eyes shining, are swept into an embrace of family and friends, woven tightly into the web of village memory and the gentle promise of seasons still to come. Somewhere, under the shadow of the olive grove, two old friends recall how their story began with bread shared on a night like this one. Their laughter carries across the square, fusing memory with the moment. The ritual is no mere formality, but a living bridge connecting the past and the present. In every shared loaf, old joys awaken, and the cycle of hope turns anew beneath the Mediterranean sky. As the celebration ebbs, gentle silence settles over the tables. The villagers linger, savouring the last warm pieces of bread. Fireflies blink like tiny stars at the edges of the square, while children stretch out, sleepy, heads resting on parents' laps. It is in these quiet after moments that the lesson of shared bread lingers longest, teaching each heart to welcome unity, peace, and the soft promise of tomorrow's dawn. Even as weariness sets in, the night continues to breathe. Elders gather remnants of bread, careful not to waste a single crumb. Their hands, shaped by years of work and love, remember the meaning of ritual, that to share sustenance is to share hope. Althea and Nicandros move back into the circle, their arms lightly touching, the memory of this night settling gently within them, ready to be carried forward into all their days. The village square, once bright with laughter, now glows softly under the patient gaze of the moon. Olive branches sway gently as a final story is told, of lovers parted by sea yet joined forever because they once broke bread together. The villagers nod, eyes half closed, letting those words soak in like the scent of baked bread and cool stone. The ritual, timeless and true, drifts quietly into their dreams. As lanterns are dimmed and tables cleared, the villagers prepare to return home. But in every heart, the warmth of shared bread endures. Love is not made only of grand gestures. It lives in these patient, hopeful rituals, repeated softly from one generation to the next. Althea and Nicandros linger for a moment, fingers entwined, the gentle echo of the night's gifts settling deep into their souls. In the quiet that follows, elder voices remind the youngest of tomorrow's promise, that even as this festival ends, the tradition will live on. They teach that to share bread is to offer not just food, but a piece of oneself, gladly given. The night's peace grows deeper, the stars brighter, as old stories find new meaning, and the cycle of hope, unity, and love continues beneath these ancient olive trees. So let us remember, wherever we are, the gentle lesson of the shared loaf, that simple acts of giving and trust form the foundation of every love story worth telling. As the moon climbs high and the festival fades, the village's quiet unity endures, a reminder that hearts and history are both shaped, year after year, by the warmth of a meal and the unspoken promise born from a piece of bread, lovingly given. Twilight gently settles over the sea, painting the sky with soft hues of lavender and rose. In the heart of a quiet village, the women gather, their arms adorned with garlands woven from wild marjoram and myrtle. Laughter drifts on the breeze, mingling with the distant hush of waves. It is a night of ancient tradition, a night devoted to Aphrodite, goddess of love, longing, and the delicate mysteries that bind hearts together. Althea watches her grandmother with quiet admiration. The old woman's hands, weathered and wise, deftly braid stems of sacred ivy into a crown. Althea is young, her heart fluttering with hope and curiosity. She carries a blank parchment, ready to be inscribed with wishes and dreams. Tonight, guided by tradition and gentle encouragement, she will offer her heart to Aphrodite, joining the lineage of women who sought the goddess's blessing on love's uncertain path. Along the sandy path to the seaside temple, torches flicker. Shadows play against crumbling stone colonnades. Each woman brings a gift for the goddess. Baskets of fig and honey, sprigs of thyme and fragrant laurel. Songs echoed from memory. The air thrums with quiet anticipation. Althea clutches her parchment, the words unsaid but swelling within her chest. The sea, always listening, whispers softly beneath a waxing moon. The temple of Aphrodite rises in moonlit tranquility, white marble gleaming softly atop a sea-washed promontory. Inside, votive lamps cast golden halos over carved reliefs. Myths of longing and fulfillment come alive in the flickering light. The women gather in a half-circle, voices lowered in reverence. Petals and flames dance together. Tonight, the sacred space breathes. An ancient covenant, renewed with every hopeful offering and whispered vow. Althea's grandmother begins the invocation, her voice rich with memory. She chants in cadence with the rolling tide, words weaving myth and real desire. Around her, the women join in, their hymn rising and falling like the surf. A tapestry of voices, united by the same yearning. For affection, for understanding, for love's gentle touch. The goddess is called gently, as if by the breath of olive leaves, coaxed from the beyond. The music stirs at first as a single flute, shy and tentative, then grows, accompanied by soft lyres plucked by practiced fingers. Melody pours into the temple like the moonlight itself, settling upon every listener. Althea closes her eyes, letting the notes wash over her, heart swelling with every delicate chord. Each song an offering for Aphrodite, an attempt to translate love's longing into sound. In this moment, longing and beauty become one. Althea's hands tremble as she lifts her stylus. Her grandmother smiles in gentle encouragement, nodding toward the goddess's altar. Althea begins to write, words tumbling forth, an ode brimming with yearning and hope. Every line a thread spun from dreams. She writes not only for herself, but for all who have ever waited for love to blossom in secret. The parchment slowly fills with promises and wishes, inked under the soft lamp glow. The scent of wildflowers infuses the temple. Roses, narcissus, and violets are woven into wreaths and laid before the statue of Aphrodite. Each blossom a wordless prayer, fragrant with desire and gratitude. Althea places her own small bouquet upon the altar, her poem tucked gently beneath. She lingers, quietly joining her hopes with the thousands carried here by generations before. Outside, the sea murmurs, and a warm breeze carries the weight of her wish. Older women recall, through story and song, the lovers of their own youth, moments beneath olive trees, laughter shared on sunlit terraces. They speak of heartbreaks too, and of the patience required to allow wounds to become wisdom. Althea listens closely, caught between the innocence of longing and the awareness of life cycles. Within these exchanges, she learns that love is both gift and lesson, celebrated anew each time these rituals unfold. Outside, beneath the stars' gentle gaze, the women light small clay lanterns. Golden flickers dance across the temples. White stones, one by one, each woman voices a wish aloud, their hopes blending as they drift out to sea. Althea's poem, now a whispered offering, is sent forth in careful words, her voice steady, her heart quietly brave. In the hush that follows, she feels the presence of Aphrodite, gentle, approving, ancient and new all at once. The ceremony fades into quiet conversation and laughter. Freshly baked bread is broken and shared, sweetened with honey and pressed olive oil. Althea sits beside her grandmother, the parchment still warm in her hands. She realizes that this ritual, with its blend of history and hope, binds her to the women beside her. Together, they have honored that most tender wish. The hope that love like the most tender wish. The hope that love like the moonrise. Petals are scattered in the courtyard, and the laughter of girls dances through the dusk. Music persists in gentle refrains, carried upon the salt-tinged air. Althea feels both lighter and more anchored, her secret prayers joined with songs and petals, woven into the ancient patterns of devotion. Even as the ceremony ends, its warmth lingers. In the hush of evening, the village feels touched by something timeless, an abiding spirit answering longing with gentle reassurance. Candles are extinguished one by one, leaving the temple awash in silvery moonlight. Conversation grows soft, each woman cradling her own hopes in the sanctuary of memory. Althea listens to stories recounted of Aphrodites, gentle miracles, of chance meetings beneath fig trees and passions sparked on sun-warmed terraces. It is as though the goddess stirs among them still, shaping both the paths of the young and the recollections of the old, always blessing love's unfolding story. Before departing, Althea kneels beside the sea, the surf cool against her toes. She whispers a final prayer, her words carried far from the shore on the wind. Gratitude sweeps through her, not only for wishes yet to come true, but also for the beauty of shared longing, the circle of women's voices, and the quiet hope sown each midsummer night. The night's ceremony becomes a treasured memory, glimmering in her heart as the path home beckons. As Althea returns along the narrow path, she glances back at the temple. The marble columns stand silhouetted against the shimmering horizon, ageless and patient. For centuries, these stones have listened to similar prayers, longing, devotion, and gentle fears, all held in the sanctuary of Aphrodite's embrace. Tonight, Althea joins a tapestry woven over generations, knowing that love's mysteries connect her to a lineage that stretches as far as the sea itself. At home, a faint trace of incense lingers in Althea's hair. She tucks her parchment beneath her pillow, heart buoyed by the act of voicing her yearning aloud. Her grandmother hums an old lullaby, the notes threaded with hope. In this small, warm room, the boundary between myth and daily life grows tender and thin. Soon, sleep will bring dreams coloured by soft moonlight and petals, and perhaps the gentle touch of Aphrodite's blessing. Throughout the night, stories drift like mist around the olive groves. Some speak of dreams fulfilled, others of hopes transformed by time. In her sleep, Althea envisions wandering through sunlit meadows, her poem carried by wind to distant shores. She wakes with the sense that, somehow, she is not alone. The centuries' worth of devotion lingers around her like a kindly cloak, woven from every whispered prayer and songful wish. Dawn finds the village painted in soft pastels. The sun rises, gentle and forgiving, over quiet fields. Althea, refreshed, joins her grandmother for morning bread and honey, the events of the night echoing in warm glances and stories quietly exchanged. Rituals may end, but their magic lingers in the hearts. Rhythm, with each new day, the promise of Aphrodite's gifts lives on, sheltered within tenderness, hope, and the faith that love too will blossom. As the days pass, Althea carries within her the poem of longing offered to the goddess. Sometimes, by the well or under a swaying olive tree, she recites its verses softly, letting their words become a quiet anthem. Her grandmother's eyes twinkle knowingly. They share a secret, a link to the divine woven through memory and ritual. Every sunrise brings new possibility, and Althea learns to trust both the gifts of tradition and the wisdom of her own dreaming heart. The memory of the night at Aphrodite's temple becomes a lamp within Althea's spirit. She finds herself drawn to the sea, where she listens for guidance in the tides, rhythms and the breeze's sighs. Sometimes, when the world feels uncertain, she recalls the circle of women, the music, and the mingling of petals and wishes. In those remembering moments, Althea feels the goddess's blessing, subtle and sustaining, like sunlight filtering through silvered olive leaves. The village, too, feels subtly changed. Laughter quickens in the marketplace, and children weave daisy crowns for imaginary gods. Elders recall love stories, old and new, over shared loaves and evening wine. An invisible thread seems to join all hearts, anchoring each villager to a legacy of whispered prayers and songs beneath the broad Mediterranean sky. Here, love is as ever, renewing as the seasons, each devotion a ripple reaching outward through time's vast and gentle sea. In silence sometimes, Althea sits beside her grandmother beneath the sheltering branches of an old olive tree. Together they remember, every ritual is a quiet bridge connecting past and present, myth and waking life. The goddess is never far. Her presence folded within laughter, kindness, and the willingness to hope anew. As long as love is cherished, Althea senses, the spirit of Aphrodite will linger, unseen but ever guiding, at the edge of every new story. Odes to Aphrodite, sung and written for centuries, echo still at dusk. The temple remains, a sentinel to longing and gratitude, its stones holding generations of unnamed dreams, young and old, all who come to offer their wishes, partake in this legacy. With each new voice, the chorus of hope grows. Althea knows now that her poem is a single note in an ancient, endless song, a promise to keep believing in love's quiet power. As another evening descends, gentle and golden, Althea stands by the sea. Her thoughts dwell on the sacred night, on poetry, petals, and murmured prayers, heart full of gratitude. She turns homeward, spirit light and hopeful. The rituals of love, both grand and small, weave endlessly through life, blessing each new beginning. In the soft hush of twilight, Althea embraces the certainty that loving, longing, and hoping unite all souls beneath star and olive tree alike. The breeze carries the scent of olive oil and sea salt as twilight deepens over the village. Lanterns flicker along the shoreline, illuminating the gathering crowd. Tonight, the villagers celebrate the ancient custom of dancing beneath the stars. Musicians tune their lyres and flutes, their melodies drifting softly across the sand. It is a night set aside for laughter, stories, and gentle courtship beneath the Mediterranean sky. Hearts alight, ready to step into memory and tradition. There, at the edge of the square, Nicandros waits, his cloak brushed with golden dust from sunset. Across the gathering, Althea's laughter threads with the music. Her eyes reflect the shimmering starlight shimmering above the waves. At this festival, every gesture, every glance has meaning. Elders recall when they too were young, when longing was shared in the pause between notes. Now, the dance is a gentle language, spoken not in words, but in motion and time. A low note from the lyre signals the start. Villagers form a wide circle, bare feet pressing into the soft earth. Each pairing steps forward in a slow, rhythmic sway. Some are old friends, others newly acquainted, all moving in time with the music, as if guided by the moon's pull. Laughter rises softly over the strains of the flute, mingling with the stories told by elders perched on stone benches nearby. Nicandros finds Althea at the circle's edge. He bows, a simple motion that holds centuries of tradition. She accepts with a delicate nod, a smile hiding in the curve of her lips. Their hands meet for a moment warm, uncertain, and then part again. Together they step into the circle, moving in harmony as the music swells. Above them, stars blink to life, silent witnesses to the unfolding story. The dance is slow, steps measured and intentional. Hands rarely touch, except for a fleeting brush at just the right moment. Eyes meet, then look away, returning with quiet hope. Older villagers remember when these gestures held secret promises. Laughter drifts around the circle as partners trace ancient patterns in the dust, their movements echoing those who danced before them beneath the olive trees and endless Mediterranean skies. Flutes twine with the haunting call of the lyre, carrying the dancers into another realm. Althea spins, her skirt catching the light and sending shadows dancing across the sand. Nicandros watches, his heart thumping in gentle rhythm with the music. The world narrows to this shared step, this shared breath. With every movement, barriers soften, old stories breathe new life, and anticipation lingers in the hush between songs. Tonight, customs shape each movement. It is said that a subtle flick of the hand can invite courtship, while a downward glance speaks of shyness or respect. Partners weave past each other, always maintaining a respectful space, yet daring to draw nearer with each turn. Laughter rings quietly, and every look exchanged beneath the lantern light feels like the start of a legend. elegantly unspoken and beautifully understood. Elders gathered by the olive press share hushed tales of their own first dances. They describe the way a lingering glance or a shy smile once set hearts racing. Their voices, soft and worn, fill the cool night with memories of generations. The younger dancers listen with half an ear, more intent on the moment. But a thread of history travels between them all, binding old and new in a gentle golden tapestry. Althea's steps grow lighter. She begins to feel the story in her bones, allowing the music to guide her movement. Nicandros follows the ancient rhythm, letting tradition shape his every gesture. In this ritual, words are unnecessary. The bend of an elbow, the brush of a hand, the rise and fall of breath, these become a language, remembered from childhood tales and passed down through countless starlit nights. Musicians pause, changing tempo. Now the pace is livelier, feet thumping gently in the sand, skirts swirling a little higher. Laughter bubbles around the circle, and even the shyest villagers join in, swept into the joyful current. Nicandros and Althea move with the others, hands almost touching, faces lit by the glow of lanterns and anticipation. Song and laughter blend, weaving sweetness through the warm Mediterranean air. Between dances, tables groan with figs, olives, bread, and honey. Villagers wander and mingle, exchanging quiet words and lingering smiles. Stories are told between sips of cool water, and the tradition of courtship lingers in every gesture. A shared loaf offered is a silent invitation, a taste of kinship and hope for deeper connection. All around, the warmth of the festival wraps each heart in gentle celebration. Nicandros gathers his courage. He seeks Althea's eyes, holding her gaze as the first notes of the next song begin. Without speaking, he offers his hand, palm open in invitation. She hesitates, then places her fingers lightly in his. Delicate promise, soft as a whisper in the dusk. They return to the circle, each movement shaded with meaning. Only they can truly know. Around them, villagers watch with fondness and remembering. As they dance, the world beyond fades. Only the circle, the music, and the starlight remain. Nicandros senses his heart echoing the pulse of the drum, steady yet alive with hope. Althea's breath catches in wonder, her steps tracing patterns she learned from childhood. This is not simply a dance, but a plea to the future, a weaving together of wishes, hopes, and gentle dreams beneath the silent, watchful sky. In these dances, every gesture is shaped by an old code. The space kept between partners hints at possibility too close, and the invitation feels rushed, too distant, and opportunity slips away. Hands open and close like petals. Feet part and return, marking a slow courtship of spirit as well as flesh. The villagers know the story, and they watch the unfolding steps as if reading a poem written in moonlight and breath. A sharp trill from the flute signals a playful change in how dancers move in pairs, trading partners for a time. Nicandros dances beside old friends and new faces, always watching Althea, always drawn back to her by some unspoken force. Laughter spins around the ring, and in the pauses, hearts linger in the hope of another dance, another moment shared in the golden hush of evening. The custom of gift-giving sometimes weaves through these gatherings. A sprig of thyme tucked behind the ear, a small olive-wood token exchanged with gentle fingers, or even a simple wildflower pressed into an open palm. Tonight, Nicandros offers Althea a single blossom, its petals pale as dawn. She smiles, accepting it, her eyes bright with understanding. Such small acts hold deep meaning, bridging the space between story and desire. As the evening deepens, the sky fills with constellations. The festival's fire crackles along the shore, sending shadows leaping. Couples move in quiet pairs toward the water's edge, where the sand cools and the world feels new. Nicandros and Althea pause, listening to the distant singing. For a moment, their hands linger together, neither ready to let go, savoring the slow, sweet unfolding of a night rich with possibility. Children mimic the adults, spinning in tiny circles, ribbons flying, their laughter rising with the music. Elders look on with fond smiles, remembering when they too were bold and hopeful, testing steps that would someday shape a life. The whole village feels woven together by ritual, tradition, and the heart's simple longing in each dance, the old ways. Echo gentle, tender, a promise carried forward beneath the same endless sky. In quieter corners, elders exchange stories of lovers long gone, their names spoken softly over the hum of the lyre. Memories of dances past become so vivid that, for a moment, the boundary between then and now dissolves. Each young couple, each new gesture, carries echoes of those who once wandered beneath the olive trees and made promises in shadow and song. The village breathes as one, every heart listening to the same silent music. Nicandros and Althea stand apart from the crowd, gazing up at the heavens. Overhead, the great bear turns slowly, lighting a path between memory and hope. Althea speaks in a softer voice, sharing dreams half formed in secret, her words shaped by starlight and the hush of the sea. Nicandros listens, his heart open, his own dreams echoing hers. It is a conversation of gestures, a promise spun in moonlit silence. The evening wears on, music softens. Some dancers rest by the fires, wrapped in shawls, their eyes half closed. Nicandros and Althea share one final dance, their steps slow, almost reverent. Each footprint in the sand feels like a wish pressed into the earth, carried away by the wind. As the last notes drift away, the two linger, reluctant to break the spell that has woven them together tonight under the gaze of the stars. Customs demand a parting gesture, hands held for a heartbeat longer than strictly necessary. A look full of hope and promise before releasing. Nicandros releases Althea's hand only when the time comes, her smile lingering in his thoughts long after she is gone. Across the village, couples separate, hearts full, stepping quietly back to their own doorways beneath the olive trees. The stars remain, silent and eternal, watching over every dream and promise. When the last lantern flickers out, the quiet settles in like a gentle tide. Elders gather their cloaks and tails, while children are led home, sleepy and smiling. The dance lingers in every heart, woven through memory and hope. Nicandros watches as Althea disappears into the shadows, her hands still smelling of thyme and wildflowers. Tonight, love has spoken softly, in steps and glances, beneath the watchful eyes of history and steps and glances. As sleep falls across the village, the music continues in dreams. The old stories blend with new memories. The gentle rhythm of courtship dances echoing through the night. Olive branches rustle, and the sea's hush promises yet more to come. Hearts rest easy, cradled by history, knowing that somewhere beneath the endless Mediterranean sky, love endures yet, steady, patient as starlight itself. Good night, and may your own dreams be filled with gentle music and hope. In the gentle glow of early morning, Althea and Nicandros walk side by side through the olive groves, their footsteps almost silent on the soft earth. The air is fragrant, tinged with the promise of sunrise, yet their minds are troubled by questions of fate. Today, they travel to the village oracle, seeking the wisdom that threads through village legend. Each olive leaf whispers possibilities, their hearts beating in quiet, hopeful anticipation. With every step toward the oracle's sanctuary, a new uncertainty blooms in their thoughts. Should love be trusted to fortune, or must it be forged by willing hands? The temple appears in the distance, smoke from incense curling skyward in ethereal ribbons. Around it, wildflowers and stones bear witness to countless seekers before them. Althea squeezes Nicandros' hand gently. Together, they cross the threshold into a place where questions hang thicker than the scent of burning herbs. Following ancient custom, Althea carries a small amphora of honey, while Nicandros cradles a smooth jar of golden olive oil. These are gifts, humble yet sacred, offered not for favor but for clarity. At the doorway, they pause, feeling the weight of tradition mixed with their own secret anxieties. Bees hum nearby, a soft echo of the honey's origin. The oracle's chamber waits inside, dim and mysterious, veiled in shadows and ritual. Within the sanctuary, the air is hushed, The only sound, a low chanting that ripples like water. Incense smoke drifts lazily. Columns stand watch in silent eternity. The oracle herself sits beside a shallow bronze bowl, her face obscured by drifting tendrils of perfumed air. Althea and Nicandros kneel, the gifts placed carefully at her feet. Their hearts race, aware that moments like this have shaped destinies long before their own. The oracle's voice emerges from the mist, gentle and strangely timeless. Her words flutter like olive leaves in a breeze, inviting the couple to speak what weighs upon them. Althea's voice trembles as she asks whether the gods will bless their union. Nicandros wonders if his family's fortunes will change. In this sacred space, vulnerability feels both frightening and oddly freeing. Trust is as important as the ritual itself. She listens intently, her eyes half closed as if seeing a world beyond sight. Each question is received with a silent nod, the oracle weaving the couple's hopes and fears into something unseen. The incense thickens, blurring the distinction between present and possible. For Althea and Nicandros, time slows, expanding into the quiet space where fate draws breath. They await the oracle's response, torn between longing and apprehension. Around them, candles flicker, casting gentle patterns on the stone floor. These patterns shift and twist, reflecting the uncertainty of futures yet unwritten. Althea watches a single flame, steady but fragile, and finds comfort in its persistence. Nicandros draws courage from her presence, realizing that whatever the oracle reveals, their journey is shared. Outside, a distant dove calls, urging them onward. Inside, everything is hushed, awaiting the next spoken word. The oracle gathers the olive oil in her hands, anointing her brow with deliberate grace. Soft words fall from her lips, poetry woven through prophecy. The oil glimmers as though catching the light of an unseen fire. She murmurs, "As olive roots twist and embrace beneath the earth, so too may your destinies entwine." The message is both promise and puzzle, reflecting the ancient intertwining of fate and personal choice. Althea's eyes fill with unshed tears, unsure if they are born from relief or new apprehension. Nicandros listens closely, the world shrinking until only the oracle's words remain. Nearby, the flickering candle seems to bow gently, as if in acknowledgement. In Greek custom, oracles never offered certainty, only guidance, layered in metaphor and mystery. The couple must carry these words as they would a seed, nurturing understanding as time reveals its meaning. In the silence following the oracle's words, Althea and Nicandros share a look, a conversation of glances. It is in these quiet exchanges that love sometimes speaks loudest. The oracle rises slowly, signaling the rituals. End. The gifts of honey and oil are accepted with reverence, binding the couple to a tradition stretching back through centuries. They rise, back straightened by hope, their breath slow and steady within the incense-whirled chamber. Leaving the sanctuary, they step into sunlight, unsure whether to feel changed. The olive trees look the same, but perhaps their meanings have subtly deepened. Nicandros brushes a branch with his fingers, feeling the waxy leaves, their resilience a quiet encouragement. Althea lingers by a patch of thyme and wildflowers, grounding herself in the earth's calmness. Even as uncertainty lingers, there is a sense of peace, of possibilities newly opened by sacred words. The couple walks homeward, silent at first, each turning the oracle's message over in their minds. Questions hang in the air like bees circling sweet blossoms. Was their visit fate guiding their path, or only reflection of what they already carried in their hearts? With every breath, the fragrance of olive trees grounds them. The journey home becomes as much about listening inward as following the village path beneath the midday sky. In the village, word spreads quietly about their visit. Some elders nod knowingly, remembering their own journeys to the oracle in youthful days. For Althea and Nicandros, there is no single answer, only the invitation to walk boldly into their future together. They find solace in the shared uncertainty, recognizing that love is often a choice made in the presence of unknowns. In ancient Greece, belief in fate was matched only by faith in devotion's quiet power. At home, Althea prepares a simple meal bread warmed over coals, ripe olives, a drizzle of honey. Nicandros sits nearby, quietly watching, lost in thought. The ritual of daily life continues, infusing ordinary moments with a sense of sacredness. They recall the oracle's blessing, not as a command but as an echo, reminding them that destinies are shaped in the humble acts of love. Each day, a new chance for their hearts to entwine. Night falls gently over the village, drawing purple shadows beneath the olive trees. Lamps are lit, and Althea and Nicandros sit quietly by the open window, voices blending with the night breeze. They take comfort in small gestures, fingers brushing, stories whispered in darkness. Beyond their walls, the memory of incense and prophecy lingers. Love, in its most honest form, is found in these gentle intervals, where hope and uncertainty blend like twilight. Sleep comes slowly, a tide that recedes and returns. Althea dreams of the oracle's voice, woven with laughter and the soft rush of doves' wings. Nicandros dreams of olive trees, their branches reaching for the stars. In sleep as in waking, the question of fate remains. But so does the promise spoken in ancient words. In the morning, both will rise, choosing each other anew, just as roots choose the earth, time after time. In the quiet hours between darkness and dawn, Althea wakes and gazes at Nicandros, gratitude blooming quietly in her chest. She recalls how the oracle called love, both root and blossom grounded, yet always yearning toward the light. She knows now that the heart's journey is less about answers and more about willingness to walk into uncertainty together. In ancient Greece, perhaps all oracles truly gave was permission to hope. Nicandros stirs, breathing in the scent of distant olive groves, the air mingled with traces of honey and smoke. He rises to join Althea, and together they greet the new day. The ache of uncertainty is softened by the knowledge that love is built on courage. Choosing each other each morning, even amid life's doubts, becomes their real act of destiny. For in every beginning, the future remains unwritten, full of possibility. Their days settle into a gentle rhythm, each simple ritual echoing the sacred visit to the oracle. When they break bread or light a candle at dusk, it is with a quiet reverence, as if inviting fate to their table. Over time, the prophecy offered by the oracle transforms from a mystery they must solve to a song they live, woven through laughter, compromise, and the silent giving of care. Occasionally, memories of the oracle surface in conversations. Nicandros might joke about olive roots entwining, and Althea will smile, reminded of that morning's wait and hope. The prophecy lingers not as a fixed path, but as a living thread, spun through their daily choices. Each act of kindness and understanding finds subtle reflection in the oracles. Words. Love, they find, is not foretold it, is built, moment upon quiet moment. In the coolness of late spring, the olive trees begin to flower, filling the air with soft, sweet perfume. Althea and Nicandros walk beneath their branches, recalling the oracle's blessing. The world feels both familiar and enchanted, alive with the whisper that destinies are always being shaped. As petals drift on the breeze, they understand that their journey is an act of faith. Love thrives in possibility, blooming again and again beneath ancient, watchful trees. One evening, as stars flicker above the hills, Althea lights a small lamp and places it at the window. It's a quiet offering, a habit shaped by the day at the oracle's sanctuary. Nicandros stands beside her, hands clasped. They watch the flame together, and in that steady glow, feel the blessing renewed. Each night, in the hush between heartbeats, their connection is both remembered and remade. Destiny, it seems, is never truly distant. The olive trees remain, rooted and silent, witnesses to every moment of joy and doubt. For Althea and Nicandros, each day brings its own blend of certainty and mystery. They understand now that love is a journey best travelled with open hearts and patient trust. The oracle's words, once heavy with meaning, have become light as air, woven quietly into every shared glance, every promise spoken between sunset and dawn. So, as our chapter draws to a close, imagine the young couple hand in hand, beneath moonlit branches, hearts quietly listening for what tomorrow brings. The stories of gods and oracles have done their part, but it is love's daily devotion that carries them forward. In ancient Greece as now, fate and choice dance gently together. Let their hope settle softly around you as olive leaves in the night, inviting your own heart to rest, dream, and believe. At dawn, the world hushes. The olive groves glisten with dew as the first sunlight reaches their ancient trunks. Althea notices something gentle at her feet. A trail of laurel leaves, green and fragrant, touches the earth like a living path. Her heart stirs, recalling the oracle's words from the night before. This moment, crisp and gentle, marks the beginning of a journey woven from hope, trust, and the old secrets of the land. Althea bends low, fingers brushing the smooth edges of a laurel leaf. The scent rises, cool, sharp. She remembers how laurel crowned champions and lovers alike. The leaves seem to beckon, forming a winding trail through the olive shade. She steps lightly, each footfall a silent question. What does the path hold? What does the heart seek? In the hush, even the breeze seems to whisper encouragement, steering her onward with gentle persistence. Moving deeper between the ancient trunks, Althea listens to the hush of leaves overhead. The laurel path twists and turns, sometimes fading, sometimes almost hidden beneath last season's fallen olive fruit. She recalls her mother's stories, where lovers proved their devotion through quiet acts, patience, and the grace of careful waiting. Now, every laurel leaf feels like a note in a secret melody, guiding her forward on a journey both outward and quietly inward. As sunlight grows stronger, slanting through olive branches, Althea's senses fill with gentle sounds. A distant dove song, the flutter of small wings, the rhythmic crunch of earth beneath her sandals. She wonders about the trail. Was it left for her by intent or fate? Each step raises questions only her heart can answer. In Greek stories, laurel was a symbol of hope and trust offered by lovers to seal their intentions and open the door to new beginnings. In ancient Greece, laurel held deep meaning. Woven into garlands, it crowned poets and victors. But in the realm of the heart, laurel leaves also whispered of courtship. Young suitors placed them at doorways or beneath beloved windows, a quiet promise spoken in greenery. Althea pauses, considering how often love's language eschews words, relying instead on tender rituals, gestures, and nature's own offerings to carry longing and affection through time. The trail winds onward, drawing Althea toward the heart of the grove. She marvels at each laurel's shape, how the veins split and rejoin, like paths crossing and recrossing in life. The air is fragrant, filled with the memory of rain and harvest. Within her, questions mingle. Am I worthy of this journey? Can trust blossom in the space where fear once grew? And as she moves, these questions echo softly, blending into the morning song. Stories tell of nymphs who fled pursuers, gods who transformed longing into leaf and root. The laurel's myth weaves through it all, most famously in the tale of Daphne and Apollo. Daphne, seeking refuge from Apollo's ardor, was transformed into a laurel tree, her spirit living on in every green, glistening leaf. Althea walks with this knowledge, feeling the bittersweet duality. Yearning can wound, yet hope and healing often take root in its wake. As the path grows narrower, sunlight dapples the ground in golden patterns. Althea recalls ode makers who believed laurel brought protection from sorrow, and poets who dreamed their beloved would answer a silent invitation. Every love story contains uncertainty, and Althea feels it keenly now. Hesitation and hope entwined. Still, her feet move forward, guided by a tender intuition that something beautiful waits at the journey's end, just beyond the next cluster of trees. Following the laurel leaves, Althea finds herself reflecting on her own hopes. Trust is fragile. She knows shaped by every kindness received and every heartache weathered. Was the trail made for her alone, or does it speak to all who yearn for connection? The grove seems to hum with ancient wisdom, reminding her that even in doubt, taking a single step toward another is an act of great courage and quiet faith. Soft light pours between olive branches. Althea senses the world slowing around her, tension quietly slipping away. Each laurel leaf now feels weightier, as if infused with meaning by the countless generations who practiced these same rituals, stepping into the unknown, for the chance at belonging. Within her, hope gathers like breath before dawn, fragile but persistent, waiting to be given shape by whatever or whoever awaits at the trail's end. The olive trees gradually thin out, revealing glimpses of shadow and sunlight ahead. Althea's heart beats faster, not with fear, but with a budding sense of anticipation. She pauses for a moment, standing between two old trees, her hand resting on their bark. Here, among roots and stories older than memory, she allows herself a gentle moment of reflection. What does it mean to follow the unexpected? What will she carry with her when the journey is done? Memories surface, her grandmother describing courtships that began with little more than a shared glance or the offering of a flower. For Althea, this laurel path is both new and ancient, a bridge between generations, between myth and waking life. She remembers Aphrodite's blessing over all who strive for connection. Trust, she realizes, is never blended, grows through ritual, through stories shared, through the small courage of stepping forward, despite uncertainty. Further along, Althea stopped to notice birds nesting overhead. They move with quiet purpose, weaving their homes from twigs and golden grass. Their quiet diligence reminds her how love is built patiently, piece by piece, in small daily acts that accumulate into something safe and lasting. Laurel leaves underfoot rustle softly, and Althea feels a kinship with the birds. The knowledge that vulnerability can yield shelter, that hope threads through every root and feather. Adrift in thought, Althea rests upon a low stone, laurel at her toes. She takes a slow breath, letting the grove's tranquility seep into her bones. The world feels suspended, gently enfolding her in stories of love found and lost, of faith tested beneath these very branches. Silence stretches, soft and benevolent, holding space for the questions she cannot yet answer. In that hush, she feels the surrounding trees watching, ancient and patient, offering silent encouragement. The laurel leaves form a final winding arc, leading Althea toward a sunlit clearing ringed with wild thyme. Ahead, she glimpses a figure waiting. Nicandros, his posture tentative, hands clasping a bundle of laurel. His smile carries both shyness and hope, as if he too journeys from uncertainty toward connection. Althea slows, taking in the scene. The sacred trees, the gentle breeze, the circle of sunlight gilding the ground where the journey ends and something new might begin. Nicandros says little as Althea approaches, letting the hush linger. In his hands, the laurel stems tremble slightly, echoing his unspoken feelings. For a moment, the ancient tradition bridges all distance. She offers the laurel not just as a symbol, but as a gesture of trust, an invitation to share vulnerability and hope. Althea accepts, her hands meeting his, breath mingling softly as the moment settles like calm dawn across the clearing. Here in the clearing, time seems suspended. Dappled sunlight washes over Althea and Nicandros, illuminating the laurel leaves between their hands. In Greek custom, exchanging laurel was an act of devotion, a sign that one's intentions were honest, that love, if it came, would be cherished. They stand together, present and unhurried, letting uncertainty dissolve. Vulnerability is spoken not through words but through ritual, a ceremony as old as the whispering olives themselves. Althea feels the mythic past pressing close. She remembers tales of gods who shaped fate, of mortals who wove love from fragments of prophecy and longing. This moment, though simple, carries centuries of meaning and quiet resolve. Hope, she realizes, is not a promise of ease. It is the courage to open one's heart, to greet the unknown with gentle hands and steady breaths. The laurel leaves, cool and fragrant, seal their silent vow in golden sunlight. The olive grove stirs with gentle music, leaves stirring in the wind, distant birds lifting their voices in morning song. Althea understands now that love's rituals are never grand gestures alone, but are built from steady kindness, from seeing and being seen. She glances at Nicandros, their shared silence weighted with gratitude. For a heartbeat, the world holds its breath, honouring the transformation quietly unfolding, where the laurel leads hearts toward each other. In that quiet clearing, with laurel exchanged, Althea and Nicandros begin to talk. Their words are simple: memories, dreams, the small joys of daily life. Laughter drifts upward, mixing with the aroma of crushed thyme and sun-warmed leaves. Both know this moment may shape their future, crafting a foundation built on trust, gentle ritual, and all the uncertainties that love invites. The olive trees stand witness, steady and unwavering, as their story softly begins anew. Althea traces the laurel garland, marvelling at how every leaf, every stem, holds memories of mythic heroes, sacred rites, promises whispered over fires long gone cold. She feels gratitude for the oracles, cryptic blessing, for the courage to follow the laurel trail without knowing what she would find. Each piece of this morning becomes a thread tying her life to the ancient past, weaving myth and hope into the stillness of her heart. Nicandros and Althea rise together, walking side by side. Their steps are unhurried, measured to the lull of crickets and the soft stir of the wind. The laurel garland binds more than their hands it, anchors dreams to earth, future to memory. As they depart, the clearing holds their laughter, the olive trees gently closing ranks behind them. The path they walked now lingers in story, an offering both to themselves and the waiting dawn. Tradition tells us that love, once rooted, must be tended like a grove carefully, with patience and quiet persistence. Rituals change, but the longing to belong, to be chosen, endures. Althea knows now that every laurel leaf left behind is a blessing for those who come after. A reminder that even small acts of courage can transform the landscape of the heart. The old ways persist, whispering hope to all who journey in their shade. As the morning deepens, Althea and Nicandros disappear among the silver-bright leaves. In their wake, the laurel trail glimmers softly, a memory written in sunlight. Hearts and History traces these stories, not only for the past, but for every listener seeking hope or gentle inspiration. Thank you for joining this journey. May you carry its peace, its rituals, and its ancient wisdom with you, wherever your own path through the olive groves may lead. The night unfolds in quiet splendor as Althea and Nicandros return to the sacred temple of Aphrodite, their footsteps softened by ancient stones, hearts attuned to the gentle hush of midnight. Shadows lengthen beneath the olive branches, and the air is thick with the scent of distant salt and blooming myrtle. In this peaceful pause the world slips away. Only the watchful moon and the promise of their souls remain. The couple stands in silence, gazing toward the marble columns gleaming in the moonlight. Aphrodite's temple, a haven for whispered hopes and secret vows. The ancient Greeks believed that such moments held the weight of the divine, when human hearts unseen by all but the goddess and the night could speak their deepest truths. Their shadows mingle, and an unspoken understanding grows between Althea and Nicandros, tethering them gently beneath the stars. Nicandros takes Althea's hand, his voice barely more than a sigh upon the night air. With the moon bearing witness, he speaks his vow not for ceremony, but for the spirit that binds them. Each word forms a bridge, a hush stretching from his heart to hers, with only Aphrodite to listen. Moonbeams weave silver patterns upon the ground, and the olive leaves stir in quiet approval. Althea replies, her words flowing softly as a midsummer breeze across the hills. She promises faithfulness, tenderness, and the enduring devotion the goddess herself would cherish. The world around them fades into a gentle tapestry of sound, the distant call of an owl, the cicada's chorus, the steady rhythm of the sea. In this moment, their souls draw closer, sheltered within the sanctity of private promise. The Greeks believed that words spoken to the moon travelled farther than any messenger, that the goddess would cradle such confessions, keeping them safe from fickle mortal ears. Althea and Nicandros feel the solemnity of this ancient wisdom as their vows merge with the nighttime breeze. Underneath Aphrodite's temple, The sky stretches blue-black and vast, holding every whispered promise in a tender, celestial embrace. The olive tree, sacred in its own right, watches over the couple, its twisted branches a testament to patience and endurance. Olive leaves were woven into crowns for heroes and lovers alike, symbols of peace and fidelity. Tonight, as moonlight glides across their faces, Nicandros gently sets an olive wreath upon Althea's hair, honouring both tradition and the quiet strength wedged between their joined hands. Althea traces the cool marble of the temple, feeling the generations of longing and love etched within its stones. The goddess herself, carved in smooth white, gazes serenely down. Hearts exposed, the young couple's spirits reflect in the luminous glow. Far from the revelry of the city, this is a holy solitude, a sanctuary for promises meant to outlast a lifetime, sung silently under the patient gaze of the moon. The night is filled with quiet witnesses, a gentle wind threading through olive branches, the steady pulse of waves reaching up from the Aegean. Within this stillness, every gesture is magnified, a squeeze of the hand, a shared breath, a nod of understanding. Ancient Greeks revered these silent rituals. A vow offered beneath the stars, cradled by Aphrodite's temple, was considered both binding and beautifully sacred. As their whispered promises linger in the air, the couple feels an invisible thread weaving their destinies together. A cord spun by the goddess herself, linking soul to soul under the watchful night sky. This ritual, gentle and unadorned, stirs something timeless within their hearts. Nicandros presses a kiss to Althea's brow, an offering of trust shaped by the moon's eternal cycles and the secrets they now share. Moonlight spills across the altar, illuminating scattered petals and small votive offerings, tokens left by lovers who sought Aphrodite's favour through the ages. Althea and Nicandros add a sprig of myrtle, radiant with dew, honouring the cycles of union and renewal. The goddess, in her silent wisdom, receives their gifts. It is not the grandeur of the act, but the sincerity that gives their promises lasting weight. The couple closes their eyes, letting ancient prayers drift between them and the shimmering heavens. The past and present blend as stories of nymphs, heroes, and mortal skirl softly around their own. To give one's word beneath the moon was to trust the cosmos itself to carry that vow. Althea and Nicandros embrace the ease that comes with being truly seen, knowing their promises are now forever part of something sacred. Beneath the moon, every sound seems magnified. The slow flutter of Althea's heartbeat, the quiet exhale from Nicandros, and the distant song of nighttime birds. With each vow, intention anchors itself gently in the night. Ancient Greeks imagined the moon as Aphrodite's lantern, guiding those who love with honest hearts. In this temple, under celestial light, Althea and Nicandros entrust their story to tradition and the eternal hush of midnight. No ceremony marks this moment. No crowd bears witness. Only the goddess, the moon, and the ever-listening stars. In ancient Greece, such privacy honoured the belief that love's truest rituals belonged to the spirit, not to spectacle. Nicandros' hand trembles slightly as he traces Althea's cheek, both awed and comforted by the privilege of sharing these sacred words where the goddess alone can keep them safe. The scent of blooming myrtle drifts through the temple's columns, mixing with the earthy aroma of olive leaves and warm stone. Althea's hair gleams under the lunar glow, and Nicandros marvels at the grace of this quiet hour. The wax and wane of the moon reminds them that love, too, ebbs and flows, always returning, always renewed. Tonight, their promises are sealed in the tranquil pulse of the ancient night. Throughout their lives, Althea and Nicandros will recall this moment. The curve of marble lit by moonlight, the hush of wind in olive trees, and the profound stillness that comes after vows are spoken. In times of hardship, they will remember the trust placed in each other's hands and the timeless witness of the goddess. For them, and for countless lovers before, the sanctity of this night endures. As hours drift by, shadows grow long, and the moon begins its slow descent toward the horizon. Althea leans into Nicandros, grateful for the peace that has settled over their hearts. Though the world beyond the temple is uncertain, within these sacred walls, love feels infinitely a living thing, shaped by faith and ancient ritual. They linger, unwilling to let go of the wild, luminous magic the night has given. When at last they stand to leave, neither speaks. Their silence echoes with the vows. Only the moon and goddess have heard. Olive branches sway as if to bid them farewell, and the marble columns glimmer with the last pale traces of starlight. The couple walks together down the ancient path, hands entwined, hearts steady from the promises that, though invisible, shine brighter than any torch in the new day. The journey away from Aphrodite's temple is gentle and slow. Each step is a reminder of the promise they carry within. In ancient Greece, love sealed before the goddess needed no further affirmation. The moon, now slipping toward dawn, seems to bless them as they return to the sleeping world. In the quiet, Nicandros whispers once more to Althea, soft echo of their vows, as enduring as the stones beneath their feet. With every returning sunrise, Althea and Nicandros will carry the memory of this moonlit rite. The Greek belief in spiritual bonds woven through ritual, illuminated by tradition, sustains them. Through seasons of plenty and famine, joy and sorrow, their vows endure. To love under the gaze of the goddess is to share in the immortality of myth, a secret kept safe in the shadows of olive trees and the lingering fragrance of myrtle blooms. Beneath star-flecked skies, the echoes of ancient lovers linger still. Temples stand as silent sentinels to countless vows, and the moon remains witness to promises new and old. Althea and Nicandros are now part of that patina thread woven through centuries, their story blending with the golden tapestry of love that has always defined the Aegean nights. The olive branches sigh in the wind, carrying their story onward. Back in the quiet embrace of their home, the couple says little, letting memory do its gentle work. Ancient Greeks understood that rituals would breathe life into love, making it strong enough to endure any hardship. Nicandros gathers Althea close, feeling the lingering warmth of ritual embrace them. The soft glow of promise thaws the chill of the ordinary, transforming every day that follows into a quiet celebration of devotion shared. Every now and then, on nights when the moon is full, the couple will pause to remember the Templar silent walk, a shared glance, the ripple of ancient songs in the olive groves. Their vows remain unchanged, private and enduring as the stones of Aphrodite's shrine. In these moments, history feels close and gentle, nudging their hearts to reflect and renew. Love, after all, is ever a ritual, and the moon always watching. Years will pass, seasons shift, and yet the memory of that moonlit night lingers like a fragrant sesatel and enduring. Althea and Nicandros will face the world hand in hand, strengthened by their promises and the spiritual bond sanctified that evening. The blessings whispered to the moon live quietly within their hearts, offering guidance and comfort through the cycles of life, love, and every gentle nightfall yet to come. So concludes the chapter of vows whispered to the moon, a tradition cherished by souls who seek meaning, peace, and unity in the quiet moments between dusk and dawn. Through Althea and Nicandros, we glimpse love not as fleeting passion, but as an enduring promisone that thrives in the patient watchfulness of the goddess and the hush of midnight. May your heart carry a piece of their story into your own quiet dreams. In the heart of the village, golden sunlight bathes the olive groves. Today, it is not just the landscape that glows, but the faces of family and friends gathering in quiet celebration. As custom dictates, an olive wreath has been woven from branches freshly gathered at dawn. This wreath is more than an adornment. It is an ancient symbol of blessing, fidelity, and the promise of enduring love passed gently from hand to hand. Elders sit in the shade, weaving memories with their words. They recall how olive wreaths crowned not only the heads of champions and sacred figures, but also beloved couples at the start of their shared journeys. Laughter and storytelling blend into a haze of history and hope. Each branch twined into this wreath carries the whispers of generations. The community's devotion shines in the small, deliberate motions of twisting silver-green leaves into a perfect, gentle circle. As the sun drifts lower, children dart between tables, delivering sweets and soft greetings. The olive wreath lies at the table's center, radiant and fragrant. Hands reach out carefully, marveling at its simple beauty. It is said in this village that the olive endures as love endures, weathering storms and seasons, resilient and generous. The couple watches together, hearts swelling with gratitude for the ritual that connects them to every soul gathered here tonight. Candles flicker as night gently falls, illuminating the delicate veins of each olive leaf. Musicians begin to play tunes older than anyone can name, quiet and rhythmic like waves against the shore. The couple turns to each other, and in this golden moment, the wreath is lifted. Laughter hushes, and a hush blankets the courtyard. This is the blessing time. The moment when tradition and personal joy meet beneath the star-flecked sky. The oldest villager, her hands steady despite the years, carefully places the wreath upon the couple's joined hands. She murmurs a blessing, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. Around her, everyone listens with closed eyes or soft smiles, remembering their own moments of passage. The olive wreath, though fragile, holds their collective hopes. It binds two hearts, and, for tonight, it unites the entire village in silent, steadfast celebration. In ancient times, olive wreaths were offered to victorious athletes, to wise poets, and to cherished lovers. The Greeks believed the olive carried wisdom and peace, its branches favored by the gods. Gifting such a wreath now binds this couple not just to each other, but to every ancestor who ever dared to love. The fragrance of the leaves mingles with laughter and the scents of cooked bread and blooming thyme. Grandparents share stories of their own betrothal celebrations, voices carrying warmly through the soft Mediterranean air. One recalls a moonlit evening, much like this, when an olive wreath was gifted by her father, signifying hope. Another laughs about a wreath that wouldn't stay in place, its leaves dancing away in the breeze. Through these recollections, the simple object on the table becomes an heirloom of feeling, continuously renewed. The couple exchanges shy glances and unspoken promises as fingers brush lightly over olive leaves. There is a sense of stepping into a continuous flow of love from distant myth to this intimate evening. The community's voices are gentle, their movements unhurried. Olives have always thrived where patience and care endure. So too, everyone hopes, will the bond between these two souls, newly blessed, forever woven into the story of their people. The village priest is invited forward, carrying a small cup of olive oil. Glinting in the candlelight, with solemn tenderness, he anoints the wreath, tracing old blessings into the air. He speaks softly of Aphrodite, of devotion, of the olive trees, power to heal and protect. It is a gentle ritual, not of spectacle, but of quiet meaning. The couple bows their heads, receiving the gift with reverence and humble smiles. Music rises once more, rhythmic and lulling. Hands join again for a slow, circling dance around the olive wreath, now resting beside the couple's entwined hands. Elders nod in approval, remembering how every heartfelt union in the village has seen the same gentle spinning. The dance feels like a prayer steps pressing dreams softly into earth, hearts echoing, wishes carried by olive branches and the steady sigh of the sea beyond the hills. Bread is broken and shared, another gesture as old as the land itself. The crust still warm from the night's earlier baking, passed around the gathered circle. With every bite, families remember times of hunger and times of plenty, when the olive tree nourished body and spirit alike. In this moment, the mundane act of eating becomes a continuation of the blessing, connecting present joy to the quiet endurance of generations before. The olive wreath, now resting on a white linen cloth, catches the lamplight. Guests are invited to approach, pressing hopes for the couple into the leaves with a gentle touch. Some whisper prayers, others simply smile. One shy child slips a small wildflower into the wreath's edge, adding a note of innocence and play. These offerings remain silent, but the mood is radiant. the wreath grows richer with every gesture of love bestowed upon it. With the olive wreath crowning their joined hands, the couple is led to the center of the courtyard. Here, under the endless Greek sky, each person in the village stands witness to this pledge. Love, it seems, is not just between two people, but shared by all whose hearts are open to its warmth. The ritual becomes a gentle bond that stretches outward, nurturing roots as deep as those of the ancient olive trees nearby. The elders share one last Talia legend from their youth, when gods and mortals walked among the olive groves. In those stories, the wreath brought luck, wisdom, and the ability to persevere through hardship. The couple listens, their hands never parting, as words spin around them like a soft cloak. Hope and comfort settle in. They know that, long after the music fades, this blessing will remain with them in quiet, steady ways. This blessing will remain with them in quiet, steady ways. As night deepens, someone passes cups of sweet wine, ruby-coloured, fragrant with herbs. A quiet toast is made to love, to tradition, to the olive trees. Patience and its gentle, giving spirit. Under starlight, silver leaves shimmer and cast playful shadows across faces shining with contentment. For a few peaceful hours, it feels as if everyone present moves at the same ancient rhythm, bound together in gratitude and a promise to care for one another. Small gifts are exchanged, each wrapped simply a jar of honey, a loaf of bread, a bundle of dried lavender, but none is cherished more than the olive wreath, glowing in the soft lamplight. Tonight, it is the most precious gift, woven by loving hands, bearing the invisible thread of ancestral hope. As the ceremony closes, guests linger, reluctant to leave the cocoon of warmth and shared wishes that fills the air. At the edge of the gathering, young children mimic the ritual, weaving pretend wreaths from grass and wildflowers. Watching them, elders smile fondly, recognizing the cycle of memory and renewal at play. The olive wreath has become more than ornamented. Is a teacher, a silent promise that love endures when honored through simple, lasting acts. The laughter of youth rising into the waning night is a final blessing woven into this evening's story. The couple lingers beneath the olive tree, hands entwined and eyes bright with quiet wonder. Above them, branches sway, leaves whispering ancient secrets known to every villager who ever married here. The wreath, now securely placed, marks both an ending and a beginning, a threshold shaped by shared ritual. The wisdom and resilience embodied by the olive are carried gently forward. Together, they step into a future brimming with calm hope, sustained by the village's embrace. As the celebration fades, the olive wreath is carefully removed and set in a place of honor within the couple's home. It will remain there, a daily reminder of tender vows spoken and the warmth of many hearts. Over the months, it will dry and change, taking on a silvery hue, but its meaning will not diminish. Whenever the couple faces challenge, they need only gaze upon this gift to remember their roots and the strength of their union. Long after the lanterns are dimmed and the tables cleared, the echoes of this night continue. In quiet husbands plucking olives at sunrise, in wives tending the young trees, in children resting in the comfort of tradition's embrace. The village is renewed with every such celebration. The olive tree's lesson of patience rippling outward. The gift of the wreath lingers as a symbol of love that weaves itself through ordinary days as softly as a summer wind. Eventually, the village drifts to sleep, resting, easy beneath familiar constellations. In dreams, perhaps, the olive tree's stories appear. Tales of lovers who met by moonlight, heroes crowned by leaves, families nourished by single steadfast trees. The couple sleeps peacefully, their fingers never quite separating. Tomorrow and every day after, they will be guided by tradition's gentle touch, and the olive wreath's abiding promise will light their path anew. When morning returns, sunlight filters through pale curtains and falls upon the olive wreath where it rests. The new day feels imbued with gentle changer, subtle sense that hope has been planted and will bear fruit. The village, too, awakens changed, fortified by another thread woven into its story. In the quiet glow, The couple finds renewed strength, remembering that the truest love is that which endures, season after season, like the patient olive tree. Years from now, perhaps, the couple's own children will ask about the wreath they see above their door. The parents will smile, sharing tonight's story in whispers, reliving every sacred moment. They will pass on the meaning of the olive, the importance of tending to love as one might tend a tree, with care, constancy, and reverence. So tradition lives, branching quietly through time, its roots deep, its leaves catching every shimmer of hope. So the story of the olive wreath continues, unchanged and yet always near, an emblem of blessing, fidelity, and quiet joy, woven from the land itself. For this couple, and for all who witness their union, love becomes part of a shared tapestry, delicate, warm, and enduring. In every village gathering, in every whispered vow, in every branch plucked beneath a golden sun, the olive wreath remains a circle of hope, shimmering circle of hope, shimmering softly into memory. The last rays of sunlight touch the ancient rocks, as Althea and Nicandros find themselves perched above the endless blue of the Aegean. The air is thick with jasmine and the salt of the gentle surf below. Together, they watch the world soften into evening, hearts steady with the promise of what tomorrow brings. In this stillness, time stretches, inviting deep reflection, love and fate swirling quietly at the water's edge. Nicandros is the first to break the silence, his voice low and gentle, like the tide rolling in. "Do you remember," he asks, "how we met beneath the olive trees?" Althea smiles, recalling the dappled sunlight, the hum of bees, how destiny seemed to drift between the boughs. Each memory feels heavy with meaning, a thread in the fabric of devotion woven tight by dreams and daily choices. A cool breeze brushes past, lifting Althea's hair as she leans into Nicandros. The rocks beneath them hold warmth from the day, grounding their reverie in the present. Together, they listen to the lull of the sea, each wave echoing the rhythm of a heart grown steady with trust. Questions of what might come drift away for now, replaced by gratitude for this singular twilight. A gentle pause before life shifts forever. Althea speaks softly, her words flowing in time with the soft break of waves. "I used to wonder if love was written in the stars, or chosen each day," she murmurs. Nicandros answers with a squeeze of her hand, as if to say, "Perhaps it is both." Their laughter mingles quietly with the wind, as natural and easy as the surf against ancient stone. Each shared glance becomes a silent vow. From the distant harbour, the faint ring of bells carries across the water, a reminder that the world continues, even as time feels suspended here. The Aegean sparkles beneath a violet sky, whispering old stories of gods, of lovers, of mortal hearts yearning toward one another. Althea traces patterns on Nicandros's palm, a silent reminder that devotion, like the sea, is patient, shaped by countless moments, both grand and small. They speak of family traditions, voices hushed, as if not to wake the gentle spirit of dusk. Nicandros remembers his mother's tales. The olive branch passed between new lovers, the shared bread in the courtyard, the tiny figurines placed at the temple of Aphrodite. Althea listens, absorbing each custom as if it is a blessing. Around them, the light grows softer, turning their thoughts toward promises soon to be made. Althea shares a story of her childhood, secret wishes murmured to the sea whenever the moon was full, hopes cast out on the tide. She wonders aloud how the world chooses who it ties together. Nicandros, quiet for a moment, lifts his gaze toward the stars just beginning to shine. "Perhaps," he says, "love is two paths brought together by patient steps, always moving forward, yet somehow meeting at just the right moment." Their conversation drifts, touching memories and what-ifs, lingering on small acts that nurtured their connection over time. Each moment shared an olive plucked from a tree. A gentle touch beneath tables grows larger in the gentle hush of twilight. The present feels as sacred as any ancient ritual. The sea continues its steady song, reminding them that love, like water, finds its way quietly, patiently, always returning to the shore. Silence falls softly again, a comfortable hush that speaks of deep understanding. Althea closes her eyes, listening to Nicandros breathe, feeling the steady rhythm of his presence beside her. In this quiet space, surrounded by night and salt and stone, love feels timeless, older than their own lives, and yet entirely new. The world narrows to just this moment. Hearts beat quietly together, in perfect time with the slow pulse of the sea. As the stars brighten overhead, Nicandros finds a smooth pebble and presses it into Althea's hand. "For luck," he whispers, voice almost lost to the waves. It is a simple gesture, yet in its quiet sincerity, it promises more than grand declarations. Althea closes her fingers around the stone, feeling suddenly seen, cherished. The pebble becomes a talisman, small, enduring reminder of a love asked for and chosen, night after night. The wind stirs once more, carrying the fragrance of nearby olive trees. Althea and Nicandros watch the horizon, where sea meets sky, and let themselves wonder about what their future may hold. They remind each other softly, gently, that the rituals waiting tomorrow are not a conclusion, but the beginning of something sacred. In the brightening dark, every shared silence and story seems to stitch them closer, as patient as dawn approaching. Nicandros reflects aloud, his tone a blend of awe and simplicity. "With you," he says, "each day feels both ancient and new-like. We live inside one long story, told and retold by those before us." Althea holds his gaze, understanding that their bond is both inheritance and discovery, a passing down and a making anew. The voices of their ancestors linger in the quiet, blessing this night with unseen hands. Suddenly, laughter bubbles up soft, unplanned, dissolving all heaviness. They remember mistakes and wrong turns, the times fate seemed to test their resolve, and how choosing to stay grew easier with each dawn. The Aegean, endless and forgiving, stretches before them, holding their secrets. Each shared memory becomes a winged prayer, floating upward. Under the shelter of this night, their joy feels subtle, yet as indelible as stars on deep midnight blue. The chapter of this evening closes slowly, each detail lingering. The gentle rumble of waves, the hush before loving words, the imperfect, beautiful twining of two lives at the edge of a world held between myth and daily bread. Althea and Nicandros, wrapped in stillness, breathe together and marvel at what has brought them here. It is not only fate nor ritual, but a choice repeated, reaffirmed, unfolding quietly beneath the stars. They talk of tomorrow, of olive branches and vows whispered to the watching moon. Though ceremonies and traditions await, it is this quiet, ordinary evening that feels most sacred. Althea leans her head on Nicandros' shoulder, hears his heart beating slow and sure, and knows that their story is part of countless others woven into an ancient tapestry, yet newly stitched with each promise made. The night is full of gentle hope. A gentle hush settles over the rocks as they fall quiet again, hearts full, words spent. The Aegean's rhythm echoes within them, a song older than memory, yet always renewed at nightfall. Their hands entwined, Althea and Nicandros let the present moment fill them, grateful, expectant. They do not rush. Instead, they linger, knowing that love is built just as much in moments of rest as in speech or ritual. The evening holds them soft. The village below flickers with lantern light, soft and golden, echoing the warmth that fills Althea's heart. Between sea and sky, they sit as witness to their own story, to the enduring patience of nature, to tradition shaped by longing. They imagine ancestors watching, smiling from distant ages. In this space, every breath feels intentional, every glance a binding thread. The world grows quiet around them, and devotion settles like dew across ancient stone. Nicandros pulls a scrap of bread from his pocket, a simple gesture, recalling rituals of shared sustenance from his childhood. He offers it to Althea, who smiles and breaks it between them, honouring the everyday acts that have fed their love. No grand feasts are needed, only small kindnesses, quiet sharing, the trust that tomorrow they will choose each other anew. The bread tastes of clean air and hope, grounding them in this shimmering dusk. Moonlight catches in Althea's eyes as she whispers, "Are you afraid?" Nicandros shakes his head, voice steady, "No. Love may change shape or weather storms, but tonight, in this gentle place, I am only at peace." Their hope fills the silences, oft steadfast and calm. As night deepens, the world narrows to their joined hands, their quiet breathing, and the promise that whatever tomorrow brings, they will face it together, unhurried and unafraid. A songbird calls from a distant olive tree, its music mingling with the night air. Nicandros and Althea listen, allowing their worries to slip away with each gentle note. Memories dapple the past, and dreams illuminate their future, but for now, it is the presence beside one another that matters most. Their hearts, resilient and open, join the age-old chorus along the Aegean shore, reminding them that love, like birdsong, always returns with the dawn. As the last blush of colour fades from the horizon, Althea and Nicandros rise and walk hand in hand towards the path that leads home. Shadows stretch long behind them, but their steps are sure and light. Each footfall is an echo of all those before lovers, dreamers, families who made the same journey. Tomorrow is close at hand. But tonight, this quiet walk and gentle touch remind them, love is crafted anew, in the simplest ways. The ancient stones beneath their feet glow faintly in the moonlight, worn smooth by countless years. Althea lingers for a last look at the sea, heart brimming with both nostalgia and anticipation. Each night, she knows, is unique year turning page in their shared story. Nicandros stands beside her, patient and warm, both protector and companion. Together, they pause, letting the quiet wisdom of place and time shape the dreams they will carry home. As they near the olive grove, memories of their first meeting flood back hesitant words, shy laughter, the flicker of hope that grew into certainty. The scent of olive leaves surrounds them, speaking of renewal, resilience, and the shelter love can offer. Their hearts echo these themes in peaceful tandem, moving through night in steady rhythm. Every moment spent together, from first glance to this lingering dusk, becomes the foundation for tomorrow's promises. The story of Althea and Nicandros, told beside the timeless Aegean, is a gentle reminder to all who listen love is both fortune and intention, a blessing woven through both extraordinary days and quiet, ordinary nights. As you drift into rest, let the softly lapping waves and the echo of their devotion inspire hope. May all your bonds, too, be gently chosen and cherished, night after night, beneath the eternal stars. Morning spills softly over the olive groves. Sunlight glimmers on silvery leaves as the village stirs in gentle anticipation. The wedding day has dawned, weaving together every quiet hope and promise. Friends and family gather under the whispering trees, their faces alight with joy and reverence. This is the moment when love, kindled by countless rituals, at last becomes a lasting vow, ephemeral in its freshness, yet eternal in its freshness, yet eternal in the echo it leaves behind. A hush falls as the bride steps into the dappled light. A gown whispers along the earth, olive branches woven through her hair. A chorus of soft voices offers blessing, the air scented with thyme and wildflowers. The groom, waiting with steady hands, watches each step as if time itself stretches and slows. In this stillness, the day feels suspended, as if the ancient stories have gently wrapped themselves around the couple's hearts. Beside the old olive tree, roots spiraling deep, the two lovers join hands, their fingers linked with a slender strand of woven gold. Elders speak words passed down over generations, quiet blessings for trust, for laughter, and the patient tending of dreams. Around them, the grove sways, leaves tinged with sunlight. Here, ritual gives shape to emotion, love becoming visible in thoughtful gestures and ancient words whispered just for their ears. The village priest lifts a simple cup, filled with oil pressed from the year's harvest. He anoints the couple's joined hands, glistening with the promise of partnership and prosperity. The community stands close, every face a witness, every heart carrying a wish for happiness. This moment, though steeped in tradition, feels utterly new, a golden thread connecting old ways with youthful hope. weaving the present into the timeless tapestry of the village's love stories. Beneath the ancient branches, laughter rises gently, blending with the wind through leaves. Baskets of bread are handed from one to another, each family sharing their blessings in bite and embrace. Children run, their bare feet tracing old paths, olive pits scattered as tokens of joy. Every gesture settles into memory, a mosaic of touch and sound, sunlight, laughter, bread, and the scent of oil, all folded gently into the day's unfolding warmth. In the heart of the gathering, the couple bows their heads, speaking vows first to each other, then softly to the olive tree itself. There is no need for grand declarations, only quiet promises, rooted in trust, in the resilience of these trees that bend but do not break. The wind stirs the leaves overhead, as if listening, carrying the secrets of the day out to the horizon, then back again in gentle song. Olive leaves, shimmering in the golden light, are woven into delicate crowns. Tradition says, these crowns protect new love, guiding it through storms and seasons. The couple gently places them on each other's brow, their smiles shy and radiant. Around them, the crowd murmurs approval, an ancient ritual made fresh with every wedding, echoing those who wed beneath these same boughs centuries before. Love's circle closes, ephemeral, eternal, and cherished again. Bread is broken and dipped in oil, a simple act, repeated across generations, and yet it feels sacred in this moment. The couple feeds each other, laughter trembling in their voices. Elders share stories of their own first meals as partners, voices warm with nostalgia and pride. Each bite is a blessing, a reminder that love is nurtured not only in grand ceremonies, but in daily acts of kindness and care. In the shade, music begins, a soft melody played on lyre and flute, threading through olive leaves and hearts alike. Guests gather for the first dance, palms pressed together, shoulders moving in time to the ancient rhythm. The couple's laughter blends with the music, their steps light, weaving through sunlight and shadow. Tradition finds new meaning in these gestures, reminding all present that joy, simple and unhurried, is the truest celebration of love. The morning lingers, golden and slow. Distant waves lap against the shore, their rhythm steady as a heartbeat. In this quiet, the narrator's voice softens, reflecting on the thousand small customs that shape lives and link generations. Love, here, is both spoken and silent, found as much in a wordless glance as in vows or rituals. Each detail settles softly, like olive blossoms fluttering down into memory's embrace. After the blessings, guests wander among the trees, hands brushing against leaves, gathering olives as tokens to carry home. Children weave garlands, laughter bright and clear. The newlyweds join the procession, pausing to mark a stone with their names, a secret spot known only to them and the grove. These little acts, gathering, marking, remembering, bind the present moment to every love story whispered beneath the ancient canopy. As the sun climbs higher, warm shadows dance across the couple's faces. Their expressions reflect both the joy of the day and the gravity of the promise exchanged. The olive grove stands as silent witness, branches tangled with generations of blessings and farewells. It's here the narrator reminds us, love is a story without end, rewritten in every whispered prayer, every shared meal, and every gentle touch beneath the ever-listening trees. The morning breeze carries traces of sea salt and rosemary, aromas blending with the sweetness of harvest fruit. Elders share tales of past weddings, recalling what was worn, what was spoken, and how the olive trees leaned just so. Each story lingers in the air, a thread looping backward in time. The new couple listens, laughter mingling with gratitude, as they sense the gentle weight of so many hopes resting upon their joined hands. Slowly, the rituals come to their close. The couple turns to face their gathered family, each person stepping forward with a wish, small tokens offered and heartfelt words exchanged. olive branches woven into wreaths are placed at the doorways, a sign of new beginnings and of peace returning. The day unfolds like a poem, stanzas of hope and tradition whispering softly until the morning merges into memory, golden and gentle. As the ceremony ebbs, conversation hums in quiet tones. The bride and groom, now joined, slip away for a moment's peace beneath a favourite tree. Here, away from the eyes of their loved ones, they speak the softest words, confessions and promises just for them. A breeze stirs the grass and their laughter, a secret woven into the landscape. For a moment, time pauses again, wrapping around their happiness like sunshine on new leaves. In these ancient groves, every wedding seems to echo those long before, the same rituals performed with new faces, every gesture a memory and a hope. The narrator describes how, over centuries, these customs have been shaped by joy and sorrow alike. Love, in this place, is seen not just as a feeling, but as an inheritance, lovingly tended and offered, to be cherished by all who gather and remember beneath the olive branches. Olive wood tokens, carved with simple patterns, are handed to the couple by their elders. Each carries a hidden meaning: patience, strength, understanding. The bride turns hers in her hand, tracing the smooth grain, contemplating the wisdom carried in this small gift. The groom smiles, gratitude shining in his eyes. Symbols like these gently remind them that the journey ahead is shadowed and lit by myriad small acts, seen and unseen, across the years. A gentle song rises, voices of friends and neighbours blending with the sighing wind. The melody drifts between the trunks, its refrain an invitation to remember. Love is nourished by the bonds of community, as well as devotion between two souls. The couple's hearts beat in time with the music, the ancient harmony circling above them like ringdoves. Every note lingers, a promise that the echoes of this moment will remain for years to come. As the day draws forward, food is shared on long tables beneath the olive boughs, laughter melding with the clink of glasses and the voices of generations. The bride and groom move from seat to seat, their hands joined, accepting welcomes and stories, old jokes and new dreams. There is no rush, only the slow unfolding of community, love's roots stretching wide and deep, certainty settling gently into the hearts of all who witness this union. A final blessing is offered as sunlight shimmers through silver leaves. The priest's words are simple, a prayer for steadfastness and joy, intoned in rhythm with the wind. The couple bows their heads, their hands never parting, their smiles gentle as dawn. For a heartbeat, the world seems hushed. Every listener draws closer, gathered in the warmth and serenity of the rite. Love in this place is not only celebrated, it is honoured, cherished and renewed. Now, as shadows lengthen just a little, the narrator reflects softly on the meaning of the day. All rituals, the joining of hands, the crowns, the laughter over bread, reveal how love depends on both intention and imagination. It is the willingness to see one another clearly, to meet joy and sorrow alike, and to build something enduring together, day by gentle day. Beneath the olive trees, each promise resounds, timeless and true. In the cool stillness that follows, the grove stands silent witness, leaves flickering like small lanterns, sunlight swirling in golden arcs. The couple draws close, content in their new bond. Around them, the village hums quietly, celebrating in its own steadfast rhythm. The narrator's voice lingers, reminding us that across centuries and cultures, simple rituals create a bridge between the ephemeral and the eternal, allowing each generation to walk with love beside them. Legend says that beneath these groves, the goddess of love whispers her blessing to every new pair. The narrator invites us to imagine, to close our eyes and feel the morning sun, the scent of olive leaves, the warmth of belonging. Love is both memory and hope, wound through every story and ritual, waiting to be renewed with every whispered vow. Here, harmony is found not in grandeur, but in the slow, steady unfolding of the heart. As this chapter drifts to a close, we remain with the quiet understanding that the greatest love stories are written not only in epic gestures, but in small acts remembered beneath the olive trees. The narrator's final words are gentle. May you find comfort in tradition, strength in togetherness, and joy in the rituals you create. Love, ephemeral yet eternal, endures, rooting itself in every generation beneath the ever-whispering olive leaves.